Captain Jake Morrison sat at his desk when the alarm went off. He jumped up and ran to the control room. His fingers moved fast on the screen as he read the message. "Colony ship Silver Dawn needs help," he told his crew. "Someone attacked them." The message was broken, parts were missing, but Jake could read enough. Pirates had attacked a civilian transport, not just any pirates, alien pirates, and they had taken something. They had taken children. Jake's hands shook. He had a daughter himself. She was 7 years old, the same age as some of the missing kids. "How many?" asked his second officer, Lisa. 22, Jake said. His voice was quiet. "Ages 6 to 14. The names came through on the next message. Amy and Connor Wells. They were sister and brother. The Harper twins, Billy and Kate. Danny Kim was 11. Lisa Brooks was 12 and knew how to fix things." Jake looked at his crew. They were all staring at him. They all had families too. "Sir," said Tom, the communications officer, "the Galactic Council says this is normal. They say the Vrak pirates always do this. They want money and then they give the children back." Jake slammed his hand on the desk. "Normal? Taking children is normal?" "That's what they said, sir. The alien ambassador said we should just pay and wait." Jake walked to the window. He could see other human ships in the distance. He started counting. There were more than usual. Word was already spreading. "Lisa, send a message to Earth Command," Jake said. "Tell them what happened. Tell them we need all the ships we can get." "Yes, sir." Jake's phone buzzed. His wife was calling, he answered. "Jake, did you hear? Those alien monsters took children. American children. Our children." Jake could hear the anger in her voice. He had never heard her this mad before. "I heard, honey, we're going after them." "You better. And Jake, you bring those babies home. All of them." After the call, Jake looked at his crew again. They were all working faster than he had ever seen. Tom was calling every human ship in the area. Lisa was pulling up maps of Vrak space. "Sir," said Tom, "something weird is happening." "What?" "I'm getting calls from everywhere. Mining ships, trade ships, even some pirates, human pirates, they all want to help." Jake nodded. This didn't surprise him. You don't take human children and expect humans to follow rules. The next message came in. It was from the alien raiders. Their leader was named Xyloth. He sent a video. The children were all together in a big room. Amy Wells was holding her brother, tight. The twins sat together. Danny Kim was standing with Lisa Brooks. They looked scared, but they weren't crying. Xyloth appeared on screen. He was big and green with too many teeth. "Humans," he said in broken English. "We have your spawn. 1 million credits each. Pay now or they die." Jake's hands made fists, but before he could answer, something happened. Young Lisa Brooks in the video looked straight at the camera. She mouthed words. "We're okay, come find us." The video ended. "Sir," said Tom, "we're getting more messages, hundreds of them, all from human ships." "What do they say?" "They say the same thing." "Where do we go? When do we fight?" Jake looked at his screens. The Vrak Empire was huge, much bigger than human space. The Galactic Council had more ships than anyone, but Jake wasn't thinking about the Galactic Council anymore. "Send this message to every human ship," Jake said. "We don't pay ransoms. We don't negotiate with child thieves. We have 72 hours to find those kids. After that, we stop being nice." "Sir?" Lisa asked. "The council said—" "Forget the council," Jake said. "This is about our children now." Later that day, Jake received a call from Ambassador Helen Crawford. She was the human representative to the Galactic Council. "Jake, don't do anything stupid," she said. "They took children, Helen. What would you do if someone took your kid?" Helen was quiet for a moment. "I'd burn down their whole world." "Exactly. Jake, I gave them 72 hours too. After that, we're done talking." After the call, Jake gathered his crew. "We're going to find those children. But this isn't just a rescue mission anymore. These aliens think children are just things to trade. They're wrong. and we're going to teach them. The next 3 days were busy. Human ships started appearing everywhere. Some came from Earth. Others came from the colonies. Ships Jake had never seen before showed up with crews eager to help. People weren't just angry. They were changed. Jake saw fathers cleaning weapons with shaking hands, mothers studying star maps until their eyes hurt. Even children were helping, bringing food to the adults who couldn't stop working. On the third day, Jake stood in front of his crew one more time. They had found where the Vrak were hiding. Several outposts, multiple ships, a small fleet. Today, we go to war, Jake said. Not for territory, not for resources, for our children, for the future. Everyone nodded. They all understood. The 72 hours were almost up, and humanity was ready to show the galaxy what happens when you take human children. The countdown had begun. The news spread like fire through human space. Everyone knew what had happened. The children, the deadline, the response coming. Mining colonies stopped work. Trade ships turned around and headed home. Even criminals put down their weapons and started preparing for war. At the Galactic Council, alien ambassadors sat around a huge table. They were nervous. Something was wrong with the humans. Ambassador Zenith from the Vrak Empire stood up. He was tall and had blue skin. The humans are overreacting, he said. This happens all the time. We take, they pay, everyone goes home happy. The other aliens nodded. This was how things worked. Had always worked. But Ambassador Helen Crawford, from Earth, wasn't sitting down. She stood at her spot with her hands flat on the table. Return the children, she said. Her voice was calm but cold. You have 72 hours. The room went quiet. And if we don't? Asked Zenith. Helen looked at him with eyes that seemed to see through him. Then we cease all diplomatic relations. Forever. The aliens looked at each other. Some laughed quietly. The council leader, a creature that looked like a giant slug, spoke up. Ambassador Crawford, please be reasonable. The humans have 47 colonies. The Vrak Empire has 300 worlds. Your children will be returned when the ransom is paid. Helen gathered her papers. You have 71 hours and 47 minutes remaining. She walked out of the room. Meanwhile, something strange was happening in human space. All military bases went dark. No communications coming out, no messages going in. Every human warship simply disappeared from all sensors. Civilian ships did the same. Trade routes went empty. Human colonies stopped answering calls. It was like humanity had vanished from the galaxy. In the council chamber, alarms started going off. What's happening? Asked the slug leader. We've lost contact with all human networks, reported a small reptilian aide. Their military, their civilians, their colonies, everything is offline. Zenith waved a hand. A simple protest. They'll come back when they realize they need us more than we need them. But some of the other ambassadors weren't so sure. The bird-like representative from the Theta sector spoke up. Our intelligence reports something different. Human ships aren't just going dark, they're mobilizing. Explain, said the slug. Every human ship that can fly is being prepared for combat. Military, civilian, even their cargo haulers. It's like their entire species is getting ready for war. Impossible, laughed Zenith. They wouldn't dare attack the Vrak Empire. We have superior numbers, superior technology, superior... The lights in the council chamber went out. When emergency power came on, every screen in the room was showing the same thing. A human playground. Children laughing and playing. The sound was peaceful, happy, then static, then coordinates, then nothing. What are those coordinates? Asked the slug leader. Checking, said the aide. It's the Krell system. And it's a dead system. 8 planets, no life. But what? But our long-range scanners are picking up something carved into the largest moon. The main screen changed. It showed the moon. Something was written across its surface in letters so large they could be seen from space. The message was in every major galactic language. You were warned. The council chamber went silent again. How did they do this? Someone asked. The Krell system was alive yesterday. 7 trillion beings, whispered the aide. All gone. Zenith's confidence was starting to fade. This is impossible. Humans don't have this kind of power. Sir, another aide called out. We're getting reports from all sectors. Human ships are appearing out of nowhere. They're not attacking, just watching. Watching what? Everything. Every major trading hub, every military outpost, every government center. Human ships are just sitting there, watching. On board the Frak flagship, Commander Xyloth was not laughing anymore. The human children were still in the holding room, but they had changed. They weren't crying. They weren't begging. They just sat together, talking quietly. Sometimes they would look at the cameras and smile, not scared smiles, knowing smiles. Sir, said his second in command, the children are acting strange. How so? They keep telling us we don't know what we've done. And sir? What? They're right. Look at this. He showed Xyloth a data pad. It displayed their defensive systems. Enemy ship approaching. Dozens of them. No, hundreds. No. Sir, we're reading thousands of human ships, and they're not just military. Xyloth looked at the display. Warships, yes, but also mining vessels fitted with weapons, trade ships carrying missiles, even small personal ships that had somehow been turned into fighters. Where did they all come from? We don't know, sir. They just appeared. And sir, they're not heading for one target. What do you mean? They're heading for all of them. Every Vrak outpost, every military base, every colony, simultaneously. Xyloth felt something he hadn't felt in years. Fear. Get Ambassador Zenith on the line. Minutes later, the sweating Vrak ambassador appeared on screen. Zenith, what's happening? The humans have mobilized their entire species. Calm down, Commander. They're bluffing. They have to be. Bluffing? Did you see the Krell system? So they destroyed one empty system. Big deal. It wasn't empty. 7 trillion beings were there yesterday. Zenith's face went pale. That's impossible. Tell that to the humans. They're coming, Zenith, for all of us. Xyloth ended the call and looked at his crew. They were all staring at their screens. Reports were coming in from everywhere. Human ships attacking Vrak positions. Not chaotic attacks. Coordinated. Precise. Like they had been planning this for years. But that was impossible. The kidnapping had only happened 4 days ago. In the holding room, young Amy Wells was talking to her brother. They really don't understand, do they? She said. Connor shook his head. No. They think we're just things. They don't get that we're someone's kids. Lisa Brooks, 12 years old but acting like an adult, stood up. We need to signal again. Let them know we're okay. Why? Asked Billy Harper. Because our parents are coming, and they're probably scared for us. We need to show them we're strong too. Amy nodded. And maybe we can help a little. I've been watching these aliens. They have patterns, weaknesses. The children gathered together. They were making plans. Not escape plans, but information they could share when their people arrived. Because they knew their people were coming. They had never doubted it. Outside, the galaxy was realizing what humanity truly was. Not just another species that followed rules and feared the strong. They were something different. Something protective. Something that would burn down the universe for their young. And they were coming. The 72 hours were up. Ambassador Helen Crawford didn't show up for the emergency council session. Her chair stayed empty. No message. No explanation. Just empty. Human trade ships disappeared from shipping lanes. Colony transmissions went silent. Even the human entertainment broadcast stopped. It was like humanity had been erased from the galaxy. At the Galactic Council, panic was setting in. Where are they? Demanded the slug leader. We don't know, replied the aide. All human networks are offline. Their military bases aren't responding. Their colonies don't answer our calls. This is disturbing, said the bird ambassador. Species don't just vanish. Ambassador Zenith tried to keep calm. They're hiding, running, scared of what we'll do if they attack us. But he didn't sound sure anymore. Aboard the Vrak flagship, Commander Xyloth was pacing. His crew watched screens that showed too much empty space. Human ships had been everywhere. Now they were nowhere. "Sir," said his sensor, "Officer, I'm picking up something strange." "What?" "Energy readings, massive ones. But I can't locate the source." "From where?" "That's just it, sir. They're coming from everywhere, and nowhere." Xyloth grabbed the controls himself. The readings were impossible, ships that weren't there, weapons charging in empty space like the humans had learned to hide their entire fleet. In the holding room, the children had noticed the change too. They could hear the Vrak crew arguing, shouting, scared voices coming through the walls. Amy Wells looked at the others. "They're realizing they made a mistake." Connor nodded. "But they still don't get it. They think this is about power, about weapons." "It's about us," said Danny Kim. "About children, about family." Lisa Brooks had been working on something. She had noticed patterns in the ship's systems, times when guards changed, when doors were left unlocked for just a moment. "We need to be ready," she told the others. "For what?" asked Kate Harper. "For when they come, our people. We need to have information for them." The children had been listening, learning. They knew guard schedules, ship layouts, weak points in the Vrak defenses. They were planning, not to escape, but to help when help arrived. Because they knew help was coming. 3 days into the silence, something happened. Every major galactic network received the same transmission. It wasn't a message, it wasn't a threat. It was a recording. Children laughing. The sound came from a human playground. Swings creaking, slides echoing with young voices. The pure sound of childhood joy. It played for 30 seconds, then static. Then coordinates, nothing else. The Galactic Council immediately sent investigation ships to those coordinates. What they found made every alien in the council chamber go silent. A dead system, 8 planets, all stripped of life. No plants, no animals, no bacteria, nothing. Like life had been carefully removed from every surface, and on the largest moon, carved so deep the letters could be seen from space, was a message in every known language. You were warned. The council chamber erupted in chaos. "How is this possible?" screamed the slug leader. "Humans don't have this technology," yelled Zenith. "Sir," called an aide. "The Krell system wasn't the only one. We're finding more. The Tharga system, the Milvon cluster, the Hexar worlds, all dead. All with the same message." "How many systems?" asked the bird ambassador, its voice barely a whisper. 12 so far. And sir, we're detecting human energy signatures at all of them. Old signatures. These attacks didn't happen now. They happened before the children were taken. The room went deathly quiet. "Are you saying," the slug leader began. "I'm saying the humans knew this was going to happen. They prepared. They've been planning for war." Zenith slammed his fist on the table. "That's impossible. How could they know we would take their children?" "Maybe," said the bird ambassador slowly. "They didn't know specifics, but they knew someone would threaten their young eventually, and they prepared for it." On his flagship, Xyloth received reports that made his blood run cold. Vrak outposts were going dark, not attacked, just gone. Military bases reported empty weapon systems, supply routes disrupted, communication networks failing, but they hadn't seen a single human ship. "Sir," his communications officer called, "we're receiving a message from the children." "What?" "Not from them, sir. About them." The main screen lit up. It showed the holding room where the children were kept. But the image was perfect. Too perfect. Like someone was watching from inside the ship. Young Amy Wells stood in the middle of the room. She looked directly at the camera. "Hello," she said calmly. "We know you're listening. We know you're scared. You should be." Her brother Connor stepped beside her. You took us because you thought we were just things, just property to trade. But we're not, said Lisa Brooks, joining them. We're daughters, sons, brothers, sisters. All the children stood together now, 22 young humans looking directly at the camera with eyes that seemed too wise for their years. Danny Kim spoke next. You don't understand what you've done. You attacked children. Human children. Our parents aren't just looking for us, added Kate Harper. The entire human race is coming for us. Not because we're important individually, but because we represent the future. Amy stepped forward again. We know you're watching. We know you're afraid. You should surrender, while you still can. The transmission ended. Xyloth stared at the empty screen. His crew was silent. In all his years of taking hostages, he had never seen anything like this. Children giving ultimatums, children who weren't afraid. Sir, someone called. Incoming message, Priority 1. Ambassador Zenith appeared on screen. He looked terrible, scared, defeated. Xyloth returned the children. Immediately. What? Why? Because they were right. The humans aren't just mobilizing, they're already here, we just couldn't see them. What are you talking about? Our entire defensive network is compromised. Every system we have is under human control. They're inside our networks, inside our ships, inside our minds. That's impossible. Is it? Check your own systems. Xyloth turned to his crew. Run a full diagnostic, check everything. Minutes later, the results came back. Human code was everywhere. In their weapon systems, in their navigation, in their life support. The humans hadn't just hacked them. They had rewritten their entire computer core, and they had done it without anyone noticing. How long? Xyloth whispered. Based on the timestamps, his tech officer replied. They've had full control of our systems for the past month. We just never knew it. Zenith was still on screen. They let us take the children, don't you see? This was always their plan. They wanted us to reveal ourselves, to show the galaxy what monsters we really are. But why? Why let the children be put in danger? Because they knew their children would be okay. They knew we wouldn't really hurt them as long as we wanted ransom. And they knew we'd reveal our entire operation in the process. Xyloth looked around his bridge. His crew was staring at their screens in horror. Every system they had was compromised. Human code had turned their weapons into their enemy. Their shields were controlled by human programs. Even their toilets would only work if a human allowed it. Sir, called the sensor officer, I'm reading massive power signatures. All around us. From where? From nowhere. From everywhere. Sir, I think they've been here the whole time. We just couldn't see them. Slowly, as if a curtain was being pulled back, ships appeared on their screens. Human ships. Thousands of them. Surrounding every VRAC position in the sector. They hadn't been hiding. They had been invisible. Human technology had advanced so far, beyond what the galaxy knew, that they could simply choose not to be seen. In the holding room, the children smiled. Amy Wells whispered to her brother, "Time to go home." The silence was over. The storm was here. The final battle for the VRAC flagship wasn't really a battle. It was a reckoning. Jake Morrison led the boarding party personally. Behind him were other parents, men and women who had left their jobs, their homes, their regular lives to save human children. They moved through the ship's corridors with a purpose that made VRAC warriors step aside. Target is the bridge, Jake said over comm. Remember, we want Xyloth alive. Copy that, came Sarah Wells' voice. She was 3 decks below, leading her own team. For trial. The ship's resistance was minimal. Human cyber attacks had crippled their systems hours before. VRAC soldiers found their weapons jammed, their armor powerless, their communication worthless. When Jake reached the bridge, he found Xyloth waiting. The VRAC commander stood in full dress uniform, arms at his sides. Around him, his crew had already surrendered, weapons on the floor. You came personally, Xyloth said, his voice bitter. The great human captain boards himself. Every parent here came personally, Jake replied. That's the point. These aren't just soldiers we sent, these are mothers and fathers. I don't understand. Jake's weapon stayed trained on Xyloth, but his voice became something else. Something that made the Vrak commander step back. You took our children. Our babies. You thought they were just resources, just things to trade. That's how the galaxy works. That's how your galaxy worked. Jake's eyes were cold. You want to know what you really did? You attacked the future. You threatened the one thing that makes us human, our love for our children. Other parents entered the bridge. Sarah Wells, Pete Garcia from the mining ship, Maria Lopez, a teacher, who had never held a weapon before this week. They all looked at Xyloth with the same expression. We've been ready for this fight for years, Sarah said. Every time we heard about child trafficking, we planned. Every time someone threatened human young, we prepared. We just never told you. You couldn't have known we'd target human children specifically. Maria Lopez stepped forward. She was small, probably weighed half what Xyloth did. But her voice carried the weight of every parent in the galaxy. We didn't know who. But we knew someone would eventually. That's what being a parent means. You prepare for threats you hope never come. You build defenses for attacks you pray never happen. You become strong enough to protect the vulnerable. Jake activated his comm. All teams, report status. Holding room secure. All children extracted safely. Engine room captured. No casualties. Medical bay secured. Vrak wounded are receiving treatment. All decks clear. Ship is ours. Xyloth slumped. It's over. For you. Jake nodded. But not for the children you took. Not for your victims across the galaxy. They brought Xyloth to the holding room where the children had been kept. It was empty now, but the evidence remained. Chains on the walls. Food bowls on the floor like they were animals. Look, Sarah ordered. Look at what you did to children. Young Amy Wells's voice came over the comm system. She was safe now, but wanted to speak. Commander Xyloth, this is Amy. I want you to understand something. We weren't just things you could trade. We're someone's daughters, someone's sons. And humans don't just love their children. We would burn down the universe for them. Her brother Connor's voice joined in. You thought taking us would make you rich. Instead, you ended your entire empire. And it wasn't just our parents who came, added Lisa Brooks. Every human who could fight came, because we're all family. That's what you never understood. Jake watched Xyloth process this. The Vrak commander had spent his life believing in power and fear. He couldn't comprehend this other force. Love transformed into protection. Care turned into warfare. Take him to the brig, Jake ordered. He'll stand trial on Earth. As guards led Xyloth away, Jake called for final reports. Across the galaxy, the operation was complete. The Vrak Empire wasn't just defeated. It was dismantled. But this had been about more than revenge. Human forces were already beginning reconstruction of damaged worlds. Medical teams were treating all casualties, even former enemies. Engineering corps were rebuilding infrastructure that the Vrak had destroyed over decades. Jake made his way to the ship's observation deck. Through the windows he could see the fleet, thousands of human ships of every type, and among them, the transport vessels carrying children home. Sarah Wells found him there. Her twins were safe on one of the transport ships. It's really over, she said. This part is. But Jake, we've changed everything. The galaxy watched us tear apart an empire in hours. They'll either respect us or fear us now. Fear is just respect that hasn't learned trust yet, Jake said. It was something his daughter had told him once. 3 days later, the children were home. The galaxy was different. The Galactic Council had issued new protocols. There were no specific laws about human children. There didn't need to be. Everyone understood. The message was simple and had spread through every species, every government, every criminal organization in known space. Never touch human children. They don't forgive, they don't forget, and they will end you. Jake visited his local playground 2 weeks later. Children were playing again. Laughing, running. But there were new additions. Memorial stones for systems lost. And above every playground entrance, every school door, every child care center, the same sign appeared. In human languages and several alien ones. We protect our own. Always. Some adults who visited these places would trace their fingers over the words. Parents, mostly. They'd remember the waiting, the fear, the anger. But mostly they'd remember the unity. How every human had stood up, how every ship had come when called, how the entire species had become one force with one purpose. Amy and Connor Wells returned to their regular lives. But sometimes Amy would look at the sky and smile. She'd seen what happened when you threatened human children. She'd seen her species respond with cold precision and unlimited fury. Other alien species took note. Trade routes that passed near, human space became the safest in the galaxy. Pirates learned to check ship manifests very carefully. If a vessel carried human passengers, especially children, they'd find different prey. The Galactic Council tried to proceed as normal, but everything had changed. When Ambassador Helen Crawford spoke, everyone listened. Not because humans demanded it, but because they'd proven they meant what they said. During one council session, the slug leader asked about human military strength. How many ships do you have? How large is your fleet? Helen smiled. Every human who can fly is our fleet. Every parent who loves their child is our military. Every heart that beats for the young is our strength. So your entire population is your military? No, Helen said. Our entire population is our family. We just become military when someone threatens that family. The slug leader nodded slowly. He was beginning to understand. Not just about human military power, but about something deeper. Something that made humans different. Jake Morrison received a medal for his actions, but he kept it in a drawer. The real reward was watching children play safely, knowing they could grow up in a galaxy where certain lines were never crossed. 1 year later, he received a message. It was from Amy Wells. Dear Captain Morrison, I wanted to thank you again for helping save us. But also, I wanted you to know something. We kids talk about what happened, about how our parents and all humans came for us. It makes us feel safe. But it also makes us proud. I'm studying engineering now. I want to build better ships, faster ones, stronger ones, because someday I might be the parent who needs to save children. We learned something that week. We learned what it means to be human, to be family. And we won't forget. Thank you for showing us who we are. Sincerely, Amy Wells. Jake read the message several times. Then he looked out his window. The playground was full of children. Among them were kids from different colonies, different backgrounds. Even some friendly alien children whose parents had chosen to live near humans. They were all playing together. Safe, protected, loved. And somewhere in the galaxy, the message remained clear. Human children are protected by forces beyond simple military might. They are shielded by love that has no limits, by unity that spans star systems, by a species that will literally move worlds to keep their young safe. The reckoning was complete. The future was secure, and childhood could continue, as it always should. The ghost fleet became visible overnight. Ships appeared where empty space had been moments before. Human vessels of every size and type surrounded wrack positions across the galaxy. But these weren't just military ships. Jake Morrison looked at his screen and saw mining vessels equipped with railguns, trade ships carrying missile clusters. Even private yachts had laser batteries mounted on their sides. Sir, Lisa called from communications. Fleet Command wants all captains on the priority channel. Jake opened the comm line. Hundreds of faces appeared on his screen. Parents, all of them. Some were in uniform. Others wore mining gear or civilian clothes. But their eyes all looked the same. Cold, determined, angry. This is Admiral Sarah Wells. A woman's voice came through clearly. Amy and Connor's mother. Thank you all for coming. Jake recognized the name. The twins whose children were taken. The woman who had organized the civilian fleet. The plan is simple, she continued. Simultaneous strikes on all wrack positions, military targets first. But make no mistake, we're not just getting our children back. We're ending the Vrak Empire. Today. What about the Galactic Council? Someone asked. They had their chance, replied Admiral Wells. This is a human operation now. Jake watched as tactical data streamed across his screen. Human intelligence had mapped every Vrak outpost, every supply line, every hidden base. They knew everything, had known for a long time. How did we get all this information? Jake asked. A new voice answered. We've been preparing for this for years. Every time someone threatened human children, we remembered. We planned. We prepared. The communication ended. Jake looked at his crew. They were already working. Weapons charged, shields up, jump coordinates locked. Across the galaxy, the same scene played out. Human ships preparing for coordinated strikes. But this wasn't just military precision. There was something else, something personal. On the bridge of the mining vessel Lucky Strike, Pete Garcia checked his weapon systems. His daughter was 12, safe at home, but he'd volunteered anyway. Captain, asked his engineer, why are you here? Your kid's not one of the hostages. Pete looked at him. They're all our kids. That's what these aliens don't understand. The attack began exactly at noon Galactic Standard Time. Human ships appeared from stealth at Vrak outposts everywhere. The strikes were surgical, precise, devastating. Aboard the Vrak flagship, alarms screamed as human ships materialized around them. Xyloth scrambled to his command chair. Return fire, he shouted. Sir, our weapons aren't responding. Human control. Codes are blocking everything. Then use manual override. They've locked those too, sir. The main screen showed human ships approaching. Not the sleek military vessels Xyloth expected. He saw converted freighters, modified mining ships, small family vessels armed with improvised weapons. Sir, incoming transmission. Jake Morrison's face appeared on screen. He looked calm. Too calm. Commander Xyloth. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the civilian fleet. Return our children immediately and prepare for boarding. You can't board this ship. We have superior shields, superior weapons. Jake almost smiled. Check again. Xyloth looked at his displays. Their shields were down. Their weapons were offline. Their engines were running at minimal power. The humans controlled everything. How did you do this? We've known about your child trafficking for years. Every time you took someone's kid, we learned more about your systems. Planted code. Prepared. But you couldn't have known we'd take human children. Jake's expression hardened. We knew someone eventually would, and we prepared for all of them. The boarding began. But it wasn't like any military operation Xyloth had seen. Parents personally led boarding parties, fathers and mothers moving, through corridors with purpose that frightened seasoned warriors. Similar scenes played out at Vrak positions throughout the galaxy. Human forces weren't just winning. They were dismantling the entire empire with efficiency that chilled alien observers. In the holding room, the children heard the fighting getting closer, footsteps running, shouts in both alien and human voices. They're here, whispered Amy Wells. The door burst open. Instead of guards, a woman in combat gear rushed in. She saw the children and stopped. Her weapon lowered slightly. Are you hurt? Any of you? We're okay, said Lisa Brooks. You're here for us? We're here for all of you, sweetheart. Every human in the galaxy is here for you. More humans rushed in. Medics, Marines, parents. Amy saw a man with tears in his eyes scanning the children. Connor? Connor Wells? Dad. Connor and Amy rushed. To their father. He knelt and hugged them tight. I'm sorry we took so long. We're here now. One by one, children recognized faces. Parents, aunts, uncles, family friends. People who had volunteered because these were human children. Because that mattered. Outside the holding room, Jake Morrison's team had captured Xyloth. The Vrak commander was on his knees, hands bound. Your empire is finished, Jake told him. Every outpost, every base, all of it. Gone. This is murder. No, this is justice. You took our children. You threatened our future. And you forgot the most important thing. About humans. What? Jake's voice was cold. We protect our young. Always. At any cost. Reports came in from across the galaxy. Vrak resistance had collapsed. Not just militarily, but completely. Their economy was destroyed. Their government structure eliminated. Their military scattered and surrendering. Other alien species watched in shock. The mighty Vrak Empire, which had dominated this sector for generations, destroyed in less than a day. By humans. By parents. The Galactic Council sent desperate messages, ceasefire orders, demands for negotiation, but no human responded. Human networks remained closed to alien communication. On the council station, Ambassador Helen Crawford finally appeared. She walked into the chamber like nothing had happened. Ambassador Crawford, the slug leader called. You must stop this madness. The Vrak Empire is finished. Helen took her seat calmly. Yes, they are. The children are safe. The ransom has been paid. Call off your attack. Helen looked around the chamber. Every alien representative was staring at her. We're not attacking, she said quietly. We're responding. There's a difference. But the Vrak Empire will be destroyed completely. Yes. You can't do this. The Galactic Council. Helen stood up. The Galactic Council had 72 hours to return our children safely. You chose to call it normal business. You chose to ignore human warnings. We didn't believe. You didn't believe that humans would protect their young? Really? The chamber went silent. Let me make something clear, Helen continued. This doesn't end with the Vrak. Any species, any government, any organization that threatens human children will face the same response. We are placing our species on notice. Our children are off limits forever. You're threatening the entire galaxy. No. We're promising to protect our future. The choice to respect that is yours. Back on the flagship, Jake helped load the last children onto transport ships. They were all safe, some scared, some proud, all heading home. As he watched them go, his second officer, Lisa, approached. Sir, we've received orders. All human forces are to maintain position until further notice. We're staying? We're rebuilding, human rebuilding. They want us to establish permanent presence in this sector. Jake nodded. Made sense. Someone had to rebuild what the Vrak destroyed. Someone had to protect these shipping lanes. And someone had to make sure every species in the galaxy understood the message. You don't touch human children ever.